welcome to the Grown Up Show, where being a grown up is always up for debate. My name is Danny Barros, alongside my longtime buddy Anthony Hall.
What's up?
Episode 3. That's what's up, dude.
Yeah, man, we're moving now.
Heck yeah.
It's like we're I feel professional now. Like this, I'm not sweating. I'm not giddy anymore. It's like episode 1000.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited to talk about, the list of topics that we have tonight.
We got some good stuff. Some things we didn't get to touch on last week that actually ended up being a good thing because more intel came out on those topics. So
yeah,
we can add that in.
I think we'll have better conversations this week, hopefully, than what we probably would have had in our last episode. So definitely a positive, but and of course, big thank you to those joining us again for a third time, or maybe your second time, or just joining us at all. Thank you for checking us out. We're new to this. We love it. We're having a good time. I hope you are too. Keep following us.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been fun so far, and like we said before, it's a learning experience for us, but we feel like we're getting a little more comfortable and just cruising. All we can do, right?
Let's cruise, man.
Yeah. Tell me what's up. How was your week? Good week? Bad week? Boring
Week's starting off good. We've been spending a lot of time at the beach lately. We live in a coastal town here, Pacifica, which is amazing. So we make our way out there quite a bit. My two boys love it in the water, and to be honest, the best part about the beach has been the fact that we all wear our wetsuits, and it's like because Pacifica, it could be 60 degrees in the summer. It's not always 75 or 85 like it is in Southern California when people are shirts off, toes in the sand, and everything's good to go. The water's cold up here, and it can be cold at the beach even if it's 30 degrees warmer going 15 miles in the other direction.
Oh yeah.
So but that wetsuit, man, it's just like you get in the water and it's like you feel like you're Superman, like nothing's affecting you at all. Like you're not cold, you're great. And it's great for my kids. My boys just love being in the water. I got a couple boogie boards and just going to town. You got to pull them in. Come on guys, it's time to go. We got to go. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm getting worn out.
It's funny how the kids just keep going, man.
Yeah.
They can just go all day.
Endless balls of energy until they just hit a brick wall and crash,
And then they crash. My kids, we have these little loft beds for them, and on the days that they go hard, I have to put them up in their bed because they can't even climb up the little 4-step ladder. It's pretty funny. So yeah. When they crash, they're done.
I know, man. Or they just get into a really bad mood, and you're just like, you need to go to bed.
Yeah. Yes.
How about you, man? How's the week been?
My week's been good, dude. I finally decided I'm ready to stop being fat again. This is the 4th time I've gone through this. I like to fluctuate. I like to go through the motions of eating. I was joking with a friend earlier today about it, where it's like I got a nasty sweet tooth. Like my wife she'll buy a bag of or a package of Chips Ahoy cookies, and she'll open them and she'll eat one cookie. I'll eat one row of cookies, and it's like, hey, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, right? So, I just got a nasty sweet tooth, and I'm this, but I'm not naturally a overweight guy. I mean, I have been for the past almost 7-8 years now, but normally I'm not because I'm usually active and I eat okay. But with my knee surgeries a few years back, I sat around for a couple of years and just ate like an idiot and gained a lot of weight, and then I lost it, and then this now came around. I had a baby right before COVID hit, and that's always challenging to kind of find a schedule when you have the wife wants to eat anything and everything, and it's hard to make. It's always hard to try to make 2 different meals, so especially when you have other kids about. So there was that where you're just kind of stuck at home with the newborn, and then I went back. It's kind of funny. I went back to work for one day, and then we all got sent home full time. So I've been at work from home since January 21st. So it's been coming on 7 months that I've been full on work from home. So, you're sitting around, not doing much, working in a, keyboard warrior. So I gained a little bit of it back, but yeah. So, but I've been walking. Gotta start off slow. I've been doing like these half walks, half runs because my knees can't handle it. But I'm feeling really good. And then with our house drama, the house is we're finally, dude. I feel like it's been almost a year. Paint is going on the exterior, so it's really nice that it's finally starting to feel like we're coming to the end phases of those. We still don't have a kitchen. That's like going to be the last thing, but the exterior is getting done. For those watching on YouTube, I forgot to put the blind down, but that's why like the door behind me, the window's all taped up because they're painting the outside of it. But it's been good, man. It's been a busy week, but positive things. Feeling good. Kids are good. Wife's good. Can't complain, man.
I'm glad you pointed that tape out on the window because I was really concerned about what that was. I just couldn't figure it out.
I could see it in your face that you were. It was.
Yeah.
I could see it was major concern. So
really concerned.
It looked like you were almost about to start shaking. It was upsetting you so much. So
You
I'm not going to get up now.
concern.
I'm not going to get up now and shut the blind either. I'm just going to make you stare at it for the next 2 hours. And anyone that's watching us, just focus at my shitty background. So
it's all good, man.
Yeah. And then I have all these boxes next to me. This is your fault because I'm building you a new computer so we can get you up to date. So this is where I store all my computer wires and crap. So, and then off camera,
I didn't tell you to put it there.
I know.
Yeah,
it's because the room I'm in, it's big, but it's not. And the table that's off camera in front of me, I have like a folding table where I use as like my workstation. So that's where I'm actually building. And then these I just pull up from storage and I throw them over in the corner whenever I'm working on a computer and dig through them for whatever I need. So I'm excited, man. Computer. Oh, I'm excited, dude. It's so I know you're not big into the computer lingo and probably a majority of our viewers aren't, but what I'm building you is called small.
Drop some knowledge.
I will. It's called a small form factor PC, which basically, I mean, I think that I guess the name is pretty self-explanatory, but it's very small. It's compact. It's cool. It's kind of the new thing in computers these days, where it's not like the big flashy, fully water-cooled PC like I have behind me. This is one that it's very sleek. It looks like a little rectangular box, nice glass panel on the front, but it's nice and small, and it's cool because you can really like tuck it behind one of your monitors on your desktop. Doesn't take up any space, and it's just as powerful. Yours won't be this is like mine is like top of the line, but it's the small form factor. You're capable of building things as powerful as mine in it, and it's really like the future of desktop PCs. So it's pretty cool, and it's gonna be nice. I'm excited because of your setup. It's gonna be nice and clean, and it'll just go with your two monitors that you have, and it's gonna be cool. So I started working on that this week too, and I should have that done on Monday. Perfect world, I'm gonna ship it out on Tuesday. So realistically, episode 5, you'll be on the new rig. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so it'll be fun, man. And I have so many little hobbies and things, but I think building computers, anything, if it's some big fancy fully water cooled computer or just a nice clean small form factor PC for my close buddy, it's something I love to do. So anytime I get the opportunity to build a computer, I try to jump on it.
Well, anytime you need like me to build you a skateboard, dude, I really love putting those things together. So just let me know.
I mean, I honestly think I can handle that myself. But yeah, definitely, Dan. Absolutely, buddy.
I'd probably pick you out some better parts, though, I think.
You probably would. So, although at this point right now, I'd probably break any skateboard. So let's give it a few more pounds, and then we'll talk.
You should get one of those electric ones, dude.
That defeats the purpose, though, right? Doesn't it?
I've never done one, and I probably never will.
You get a lot of that. You get a lot of that up here in Portland. A lot of the little. I see a lot of the little. It's like a one big wheel.
Yeah, the little
with like the two little foot stands on each side.
Yeah, and it's got like mud terrain tires on it.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, just like that one big meaty tire. Yeah, I see a lot of those, and then they have the whole like rent a scooter thing. Those things are everywhere, man.
Oh my god,
which is cool. I mean, it's quick transportation. Takes a car off the road. Like it's cool, but it's also funny. It's kind of funny.
I feel
I have a buddy at work that grabs them all the time, and we were going to lunch one day. I'll never forget this. and he grabbed it. It was hella funny because he's like, I'll be back in a minute. And it's me, him, and two other guys from work. So he's like, oh, I'll just meet you there, right? And he goes off. We're like, all right, whatever, dude, whatever, Randall. And we're like walking, and all of a sudden, just zoom, he comes flying by us on one of the scooters, and we get to this little Thai food place that's really good, and he stashes the thing in the bushes, so no one else would pick it up, right? We come out, and someone literally rented it and found it and took it, and he was just like, damn it, it's just so funny how it works, because it's like you rent it from an app, you know?
Yeah.
And then it like pinpoints the nearest one to your location.
Yeah.
Which is actually, it's really, if you think about it, it's really kind of a genius idea.
It is. It is.
Hey. But it's also humorous to me. So
yeah. Hey, it doesn't cost us too much. We just hop on a scooter. We'll get there way faster. We won't be sweating by the time we get there. You know?
Yeah, I think it's something like I want to say you can do it just like for a couple dollars for X amount of time or distance. I don't really know, but I know it's not too bad for like a quick get me from point A to point B. So
yeah, I'm sure they have their deals where like if that's something you use every day to commute on, you could probably buy a pass or something like that.
Yeah, and I know there's a few different types too, but yeah, it's cool, but it's just funny. I see a lot of that stuff around here, the little motorized scooters and skateboards and stuff.
I know a lot of cities are like struggling and like, updating their bicycle and pedestrian sort of ordinances because a lot of them have only spoken to bicycles specifically or there hasn't been too many alternative modes of transportation, and now you see so many different ones with scooters and electric scooters and skateboards and electric skateboards and all these different like vehicles and these electric assist bicycles. Now it's like it's kind of crazy, and it's like everyone has their own sort of rules, I guess, that they have to adhere to nowadays, or it's like you put them all in one category. But they all go do different things and do different speeds and affect different people. And it's very interesting to see how everything gets regulated. I know there was a big problem with all the scooters and stuff in a lot of the big cities. Like they were really hating on that kind of stuff because they were just like the Bush thing, like they just felt like they were scattered everywhere, Yeah. And so there's getting a lot of backlash on some of those companies, but I think they've figured it out by now.
Yeah, I think they have here they have like designated parking spaces areas for them and things like that. So
yeah,
it's just like the whole like Uber Lyft thing at the airport where it's something new, something different, something that's got to be figured out. So
right.
Hey, I want to ask. I like your hat, dude, but I think before I ask about it, we have something we need to do.
What's up?
It's beer time, man.
Oh yeah.
So I think I started last week, and I think I might blow your mind this week. So I want you to go first.
Okay. Well, I mean, a little bit along the lines with my hat being that it's the University of Hawaii.
Yes.
I have a wonderful Maui Wowie IPA also from Altamont Beer Works, which also had my beer that I was drinking last week. This is just one of my favorite beers. It's probably one of their most popular ones as well. Huge fan favorite. This IPA, just a single IPA, just packs just so much flavor. I mean, it definitely has an island twist to it. I mean, I'm not going to go on and on. You can find these pretty readily available now in the Bay Area. Maui Wowie, Altamont Beer Works, Steve and the guys down there in Livermore, California. Go get you some. Cheers. Oh, it's so good.
It's a beautiful sound. Nice, man. All right, are you ready for it? I'm
ready for you to blow my mind, dude.
All right, I've been excited about this and been thinking about this for a week because for our listeners and viewers, Dan is a beer guru in my opinion, and most. I think you're very knowledgeable on alcoholic beverages. not in your alcoholic, like in a professional way, not in a I get shit faced and pass out in the lawn naked kind of way. But
I mean, I just drink beer. Like I don't drink wine. I don't drink hard liquor. I really enjoy beer because it's like it's a community, it's a culture, it's a flavor, it's everything I love.
Yeah, and you do it on a way where you enjoy a beer. You're not pounding 24 packs like Remember back in the day before I opened mine? I was thinking about this. Do you remember back in the day
we were pounding 24 packs?
Dude, back in our day, we used to, I don't know if you remember this. We used to buy a 24-pack of Bud Light to pregame. And then we would go to whatever party. Like the thought of me drinking 12 beers before getting ready to go drinking at my age and situation in life right now, I just got a hangover thinking about it.
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
Like, now we're old and sad.
No, I know. Now it's like if I'm ever in the situation where I'm like cracking like my third beer of the night, I'm like, oh God, here we go.
It's funny though. I still enjoy one of those trash beers. Like I've transitioned with age to Coors Light, but like if I'm working in the yard or breaking a sweat or something and it's hot out, like I don't know, there's something about just a Coors Light that is just nice.
Well, yeah.
But
well, I mean, that's the kind of beer that honestly you should be drinking like if you're at the lake or at the pool like all day.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can't sit around and drink IPAs all day.
Yeah,
but
it's just too much.
But you can hit like a plateau with Coors Light and you're just maintaining with this like 4.9%, and then until you get to dinner time, and then you can beef it up with an IPA, something like that. But that's like the vacation life. You can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So but anyways, I was never I enjoy beer, but I never really put too much thought into it until recently. Mainly when I moved to Portland, because Portland's really big on breweries up here.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to realize that freshly made good quality brew or beer is actually really good. So I've gotten more of a taste. Better. Yeah, I've gotten more of a taste for it. So check this out. So this is it's Juice Squared, I guess is the technical name of it, but it's from I guess it's like a partnership between Great Nation Brewing and Equilibrium Brewing, which is out of Middletown, New York.
It sounds more like a collaboration.
Yeah,
a lot of different
that's a
collaboration. Yeah.
But I've already had one of these, and I absolutely love it. And this is what's gonna blow your mind about it. You ready?
Yeah.
It's a triple IPA, 10% alcohol.
But but in the name, it sounds like it's probably hella juicy and like a New England style hazy juicy IPA.
Yes, exactly. It is.
Yeah. See, like for our, like you talked about, like let's drop knowledge, right? You drop computer knowledge here, it's beer knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the West Coast IPA.
Hang on. Let me do mine, and so I can enjoy this while I'm getting educated.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh shit! I think I shook it too much. That's okay.
Too much. You shouldn't shake it at all.
I know. I mean, I was reading the label and stuff, and I got a little carried away. Okay, carry on. Carry on, sir. Carry on.
So the West Coast IPA is like hop driven, and it's like the hops. You're supposed to definitely get that like bang of bitterness with the hops. And beer has this other, like ABV is one thing, but it has this IBU ranking, and the higher the IBUs, the more bitter the beer is. The IBU stands for International Bitter Units. Okay, and so like a standard West Coast Lagunitas flagship IPA is around like 62 IBUs, which is pretty tame. And the IBU scale goes up to, I believe, around 150. I think that's where it taps out. It's not like a 0 to 100. I think it's like 0 to 150. But I bet you that beer that you're holding, even though it's like a triple, it's probably like in the 20s or 30s of the IBUs because it's so smooth and masked with fruit.
So that's the difference. It doesn't. These beers that I've been getting lately, except for last week's, they don't have that, and it's annoying because I think that's what I've been learning from you is that's what separates them from me. Because I don't want to say that I dislike, but I don't have that like urging taste for the bitterness. Like some of them I do enjoy, but I prefer this like kind of the juicier type.
Well, that's the difference, right? The West Coast IPA movement has always been hop driven, no fruit. You're getting fruit aromas from the beer. Okay, you're getting that's like just like you would drink wine. Oh, that's hint of hickory or this or that. It's like no, it's like that's hint of this or that. It's like it's not actually that. It's just the way it ferments.
Can you talk? Can you talk like that for the rest of the show? That was great. That was your old man smart voice.
It's sort of wafting the wine.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's
That's why
good.
I don't drink. That's why I don't drink wine, because I don't have to talk like that. You know.
I feel like I've never really had a taste for wine, but I
No.
feel like that. Like I feel like you have to be classy, and that's
Oh
definitely
yeah.
not me. Like I
Yeah.
could you imagine? Could you literally like? Don't bullshit me. Could you literally imagine me holding a glass of wine?
No.
Like how weird would that look, right?
It looks so
Like I
weird.
feel like if I was gonna do it, I'd have to like disguise it in like a beer mug or just drink it straight from the bottle. But I couldn't actually do the
No,
glass.
no, I think you would just get like, considering the gamer you are, I think you would just get like a medieval goblet and
Yeah,
just drink it out of
something
that.
like that. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't
Be
do it
like
out of an
metal,
actual
you know, it
wine
wouldn't be
glass.
glass. It would just
Yeah,
be like a metal goblet,
I
you
could
know.
see that. I could go down. I
Maybe a
could.
little bit bedazzled, you know, for your Star Wars liking, you know?
Oh my gosh, dude! I just couldn't do it, man.
No, no.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
actually are the one that made me realize that because I don't know why. I mean, it could have been anything, right? But I'm sure at some point in life I tried an IPA and I didn't like it, and I was just like, oh, that's what they all taste like. And
Yeah, no.
you've been
There's a
educating
big
me over the
difference.
years, and you're the one that kind of made me realize that there is a IPA out there that I enjoy, and it's this. And like this is one I
Yeah.
love this thing, man. I need to
Yeah.
find out. My brother-in-law actually gave me one of these because he's along the
Yeah,
lines
he's
of
into
you
it too. For sure.
where he's really into
So
it. So
the
he's been helping me get into it a little bit more too. But he gave me one of these, and I was just like, oh, I love it. So he got me some more. So I need to find out where he got them because I might just start trying to grab these until because I'm sure this is something that, and this is the frustrating thing for me is like it's not something you can consistently buy. Like they come and go, you know. But that's also what's I guess makes it kind of fun is in the exploration of you have to find something to replace it when it's gone.
Yeah, yeah. So so the West Coast versus the East Coast in the beer industry, from especially when it comes to IPAs, and my homies at Altamont, they definitely, when they were first starting about, they made these T-shirts, and it was kind of around like the Trump. They don't support Trump, but it was kind of around that time where like it was like the slogan of "Make America Great Again" was out, and you know how everybody had so many different memes that changed that slogan to so
Yeah.
many other things that worked for them,
Yeah.
and they changed it to "Make Beer Clear Again," right? And it was
Mm.
because they were really supportive of beer is about the hops, and beer is about the bitterness, and beer is about this, and this is the way they really felt it should be. And it was going against the hazy movement because everybody was getting into hazy. And really, what the hazy movement has drawn in is brewing it with fruit. Obviously, it creates that haziness, but it masks the bitterness. And now it's like you're almost getting, in a way, it's like that purist, that beer purist would say like, oh, it's almost like people like who go wine tasting and say, yeah, I really like wine, but I don't really like I'm not really like a wine person. Or the people, yeah, that one tastes good. That's a good IPA, but because it has fruit in it, because it's a hazy, because it's easy to drink, because there's no bitterness. You know? So there's a lot of people on other sides. I happen to be the beer guy who loves them all, but like I do like if you're gonna make me rank, like I side with the hop head first of like the super bitterness over the hazy, just my own personal preference. But I mean, they're all awesome beers, you know?
So basically, what you're telling me is I'm still a sissy. I've just upgraded a little bit.
Yeah, you're
Thanks,
just
man.
buying gourmet.
I
You know?
appreciate that. You said it really nicely though, so I'll
I
take
did.
it. I'll take it as a
I did.
compliment.
It's kind of like not like a kick in the nuts, but like that
Yeah.
little sack tap I used to
Yeah.
do to you.
It's like the
Imagine.
casual walk by, like, hey, what's up?
Yeah,
Oh, gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
I appreciate it,
yep,
man.
yeah.
I'm trying here,
gotta,
man. Baby
I gotta
steps.
humble you. I gotta humble you.
So tell me about the hat. I like it. That's old school, isn't it?
This is, dude. This is like vintage, like 1998, 99. This is actually like a real sideline hat from the University of Hawaii. My cousin actually went to college there and played football there. And I mean, he's old enough to where this is, like I said, in the 90s, he actually went to the same high school with Tom Brady and played with Tom Brady at the high school, Sarah High School. Um, so he gave me the hat when he was, going to school there. And like at the time I was like, 10, 11, 12 years old kid. And I was like, this is awesome. Like I got this sweet hat from this college, like football player, and I've kept it over the years, and I break it out every once in a while this time of year for for Pride Month because, I mean, I'm in support of it. My brother, in fact, happens to be gay. And so I've always been in support of the movement and, that culture and those people and those individuals who are just trying to be individuals, you know what I mean? And so,
Exactly.
I might not, fly the flag on my car or do a lot of that stuff but this is one way that I like to do it. It bridges both gaps for me, sports and pride and whatnot. And I like it, and this is, and to all honesty too, University of Hawaii, this isn't even their logo anymore. They changed it to just more of like a Pacific Islander-esque big old H.
Yeah. So real quick, just for the people listening on iTunes or Spotify or anything, it's the hats. It's kind of split down the middle, half green, half white, and then it has the UH on one side, and out of the UH is basically a rainbow. It comes like a half rainbow, red, yellow, green, and blue. But it's the way it's designed. It's actually really cool. So. We're big hat guys. We always have been. We both probably combined have over 100 hats.
You'll probably never see us with the same hat on this show.
Yeah, probably.
But no, I mean, they changed the logo. I want to say like in the early 2000s, University of Hawaii, because, homosexuality and the LGBT community have been, a lot like the Black Lives Matters community in their own way, of course, have been struggling for acceptance and have been going through their own discriminations and prejudices over the years. And I think the university was getting some backlash that it was too much associated with this gay community that had a rainbow in their logo. And so, because they were known as the Rainbow Warriors, like that was their mascot, University of Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. Now they're just the University of Hawaii Warriors.
Yeah.
And so
it's kind of disappointing, but at the same time, it's like, times change, and I'm sure the amount of pressure back then was very different. And especially as a school, like you kind of have to find a neutral ground.
But these same four like rainbow in the exact same way that it's going, like if you've ever been to Hawaii, this is on every single license plate.
It is.
So if you're really that afraid of it, it's like, oh, every car is stamped with a gay logo. It's like, no, it's not. It's just, you live in a very tropical, beautiful place, and rainbow is something that happens here quite often.
Yeah, and I think that's why the gay community adopted it, is because it's a rainbow is like it. I mean, it's always been kind of like associated with happiness and just joy and everything. And that's, I think, when it comes to, from my experience, again, this goes back to where we were raised and how we were raised. We were raised in San Francisco. Like we were born and raised in Pacifica, but we spent a majority of our childhoods in San Francisco, exploring. Back in the day when we were troublemakers, we'd go on our little nightly cruises where we just loved the city, man. Just go cruise through, smoke a little pot and enjoy life. But it's like, it's just, I think it's just our experience as a whole with the gay community. Like they're really happy people. And I think it's because like they're so, to be homosexual, you really have to be comfortable with your sexuality, and that's something that a lot of people struggle with. And I think that, and I'm talking from a straight guy, so I apologize if I'm getting this wrong. No, but from my personal experiences, homosexuals are they're so confident in themselves because they're so comfortable in their own skin with their sexuality after they accept it and everything. I know that they go through the struggle of realizing that they might not like the female as much as the male, or and I know that they have that transition, or not transition, but that understanding and realization. But when they accept it, they really become comfortable with themselves, and it's really something that I've always admired from the people. Your brother, my few times being around your brother and stuff, like you can just. It's just so pure. It's really hard to kind of explain, but it's so pure.
No, and I feel very lucky to, have been exposed to it you know, being that, you know, he's my brother and all, and growing up, you know, with him, and you know, and learning about all that, and you know, when he came out to us and all that stuff, and just, you know, he's obviously my brother, he's part of my life, and so, you know, you've been intertwined with it over these years, and I probably experience it more than most people get to, because I've interacted with his friends and his boyfriends over the years and things like that. So it's much different for me than I feel than most. You know, not to say that I'm better than anyone because of it, but it's definitely been eye-opening for me, and it's been so positive in so many ways that, I mean, they're just people. The only difference is who they love, and it's like I've never really understood why there's ever should be a problem with it, because it's like, okay, like your wife Jen, my wife Ashley, it's like they're two girls. It's like you loving Jen like has no effect on me whatsoever.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? And so it's like, and if the person you love was named John instead of Jen, it still would have no effect on me whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
And so it's like, I've
that's
never
been
understood why it pisses people off. You
that's
know?
been my argument for the longest time. Really identical like that is it's really like if Dave and John love each other, how does that affect my daily life?
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah. How
affect
is
it
that
in
in any
any
way?
way.
Exactly.
Any way.
Exactly.
So you know
Yeah.
what?
And that,
Not to be completely blunt, but I don't give a shit.
yeah.
Love them to
Yeah.
death. You know what? To be honest, they probably have a better relationship than most male-female relationships. So I always loved. I'll talk on this briefly, but one of my I have a story that just kind of was one of my first real like reality checks of understanding like how the gay mind works in some ways is I used to work one of my first like not first I guess my first like real jobs. I don't count like my first job ever at KFC a real job because that was a joke. But my first like physical manual labor job, I worked for a buddy of mine and his father in their construction company, and I strictly was demo and tile. And me and another buddy worked for him. And 90% of our work, I'm not kidding you, was in the Castro because it was you're dealing with two incomes, two pure incomes. At that time, you know, that it was like gay couples having children and stuff was still kind of new, so like you didn't see it too much. So majority of the time, it was a gay couple or a lesbian couple. It's two working people, didn't have any dependents or anything, so it's just money, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this one job me and my buddy did for this gay couple. Honestly, to this day, two of the coolest people I've ever worked for. Just so chill. Every day we'd come up, we'd knock on the door, they'd let us in. I'm not even kidding you, dude. They would have baskets that would have chips, like chips, fruit, and Gatorades, like ready for us, like every single day. Every
Like
single day we left,
like, here you go, guys.
every single day we left, $20 tip. Like before they even saw the outcome of the work, just $20 tip. And you know, it's like it's kind of like a mind game because it makes you want to do better. Like it's really smart on their part to spend.
They know what they're doing for sure.
Yeah,
you know.
But it's just like I'll never forget my buddy James. He did so I did like majority of the demo, and he did tile in one of the bathroom floors. We were remodeling a couple sections of this house, and he laid the tile. It was probably the best tile job he had ever done. Like literally clean, little tiny individual, like I think they were like 2-inch square tiles that he had to lay individually. They didn't come like how a lot of the small tiles come.
Like
they were literally individual tiles. He laid perfectly. It took him like 2 days. It was a small like half bathroom floor, but it took him 2 days because at that point, like we're invested in these people because they're such good people. Like you're treating it like it's your own home, right? So like James is like, dude, cutting little tiny microscopic notches to fit around door jam in this little tile that no one would ever see that the notch that he made. Like he could have just moved it over 1/8 of an inch and put a little grout line, a little extra grout. No one would ever notice. But you're like, it's just because you're so like thankful and grateful to these people. You want to do it perfect, right? Does this whole floor, grouts it, and they come down and they look at it, and I'm not kidding you. They go, So this is absolutely beautiful, but we forgot to tell you we wanted it angled. They wanted it so it wasn't squared with the walls.
Yeah.
They paid us to rip it up and do it again. But it was like,
Wow.
and if like I just look back and I remember like it's our bad for not clarifying that. Like,
Yeah.
we as the contractors, the people doing the work should have clarified this is how we're gonna do it. Like that's just how you do, right? It was
the pattern.
but they just like
right?
they were like, we're gonna pay for it, we're gonna rebuy the tile, we're gonna rebuy everything, we're gonna pay you the labor. And they still gave James like a freaking like $500 tip at the end or something. But and when he did the same thing, did it sideways, did it beautiful, and they loved it, and they were just like, but it's just, and it's not like of course at that time like the money is nice because you're just, you can kind of be like, oh, I don't know, charge this much, whatever. But and we never like ripped them off, but
Yeah.
we weren't like giving super deals out, but just like the generosity, the humbleness, the respect that they gave us as workers. I just like that was when I don't want to say this for my first time because I for the longest time had a gay uncle that I had. It was my, I don't even know if it's technically my uncle or step uncle or what the terminology is, but my half brothers. So my mother, me and my younger brother, we have different fathers. It was his father's brother was gay and lived in San Francisco that I grew up with him. So I was already like understood like homosexuality and what it was and knew from him and interactions with him that it was like nothing of any difference of who he was as a person. But it just like, and I think it kind of ties back into the Black Lives Matters with, these are people that are just shit on all the time for nothing they have control over.
Yeah.
And they are quite possibly the strongest people because they have to deal with it. They have to tolerate it. And they're just so resilient, and it's just cool, man. I love gay people. I think it has a lot to do with where we were raised, but I love gay people, man. They're just so cool.
They're awesome, dude. I mean, and my brother's one of the most awesome people I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say your brother is I mean, I think I've probably only interacted with your brother maybe a dozen times, but every time it's just like I mean, I remember one time I didn't see him for a few years, and he came back from New York, and he was just like, I didn't even know if he remembered me or anything. He was just like, Anthony, how you been? Just like the happiest, like he remembered me. He, checked in how I was doing, and just the nicest, like coolest dude. And I'm sorry, man, but that dude could drink you under the table, bro. Like he freaking, he's, and that's like not to speak on like there's that thought like gay people are soft. That's complete bullshit. Like Joe is a straight badass, dude. Like Joe can go hard, dude. So he's just a cool dude.
Yeah, I mean, when I describe Joe to people, I mean, usually I start off by saying like, the only thing we have in common is we have the same parents, and we have the same last name. I said basically we're completely different people.
Yeah, you guys are very different.
My brother is really into the arts, specifically like musicals and the Broadway scene and things of that nature. He lives in New York City. He does the Broadway stuff. He's director, choreographer, writer, you name it. He's involved in it. I mean, he always has his hand in something. He can't sit still. And he's been that way since he's been like 3 years old. He's always, it's like, there's not many people in this world that I say that like, hey, when you were a kid and you thought like, oh, when somebody asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And like a lot of people say, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be this, or it's like
astronaut. No.
My brother knew exactly what he wanted to do when he was like probably like 5 or 6 years old. And after he saw The Wizard of Oz for the first time, in the movie, and then here in Pacifica, there was a local theater that was putting on a play of The Wizard of Oz. And he saw the sign on Highway 1 from the car and asked my mom to bring him to the audition because he wanted to be in the show.
That's so cool.
And my mom was like, okay, like whatever. And he was just a little kid at the time, and so but they gave him a part as like one of the Munchkins, like he was the Munchkin, like that one scene where they're in Munchkin Land, and
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz, he was just like he had like a 2-minute scene in the entire show as a 6-year-old or whatever. But it, from that moment forward, that he was a part of that show, that he wanted to be, that all he wanted to do in life was musicals and plays and whatever it had to do with acting and singing and dancing and all that stuff. And and he knew that the only way, the best place in the world to do that was on Broadway in New York City. And so he's had this goal in his mind since then, and he's basically been living his dream. Like he's right after college, he moved there, he's just started his own little theater company, and he's done way more jobs than just his own. And he takes jobs at on location too. Like he's flown to Italy and choreographed something there for like 6 weeks. He's been to Korea, Shanghai, and like he's been to the Michigan State has hired him twice as like for their spring production or whatever, and they put, it's like he gets put up with room and board all these places. It's like living the big time,
I'm so jealous of that bastard, man. Here I am, 34 years old. I still don't even know what I want to do with my life, and this guy's tackled it since 5. God damn it, Joe, bastard.
Yeah, so he's definitely had a lot of fun with it. But I mean, but even like, our childhood and stuff, it's like I played sports growing up. I was, I was pretty, pretty much just an athlete. I was always doing something. Joe tried sports. He wasn't really into it. He stuck with basketball a little bit, but I think he did it more to make my dad happy that he was just doing one sport.
Yeah.
But my dad didn't care. I mean, Joe was also the type where it's like, we all pretty much knew he was gay, and it just, he came, I think he came out when he was like, I think like right when he started his freshman year, because he didn't go to Terra Nova like most people in Pacifica just transitioned to Terra Nova. He was so into the arts that he went to an art school in San Francisco, in the city, and at that school was a lot smaller student body, and there were a lot of people like Joe, a lot of gay people, or just a lot of different people. A lot of very unique people, and not all of them were gay. But I think that was just the environment that he just felt immediately comfortable that I like. Oh yeah, I can come out like right now, and like it's not a big deal, like because so many other people already did. Whereas like he was going to school here where it's like, people kind of thought, but there wasn't that like gay kid, no one really came out, and it was still really, really interesting at the late 90s, with all of that. It's not like today where I think it would be easier for somebody in the 6th or 7th grade to come out. So I think like the 9th grade, like he was more public about it. And I remember him telling me, and I was like a 7th grader, at the time. And I was just like, I think me deep down was like, at the, like right when he told me, I was like, almost like a little mad, because I was like, I'm still holding out for my big brother to, just, like the guy I look up to or whatever. But then, I think like 10 minutes later, I was like, we all knew. It's no big deal. It's like, it doesn't really change anything,
Yeah. And I think it's okay and fair for you to have that quick that immediate reaction because of the time, it was hard to be gay in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Now it's like you said, it's just so different, and it's still not like that everywhere. There's still the places that are
really hard.
Yeah.
But more accepted today.
Yeah. And I don't want to take away from what Joe, I'm sure, has had to experience and deal with, but he is lucky that he was gay in the area he was raised in. San Francisco has been one of the the forefronts of that. The Bay Area has been, and he's also very lucky that he had the parents he had, and like your parents are by far the coolest, most like accepting people I've ever met in my life. You're one of my best friends because you're the same. Like you're just a cool ass dude. Not to get all mushy with you, where people will
Hey
see
man,
it, but
no, we are talking about Pride Month. It's cool, man.
yeah, but it's just like if there's one person I could think of in this world that was gonna have the support, it's Joe. Not, but I wanna stress, doesn't mean he had it easy. I'm sure that whole time was probably very stressful for him.
Yeah.
But I always hear these horror stories of like people coming out to their parents and their parents disowning them. Like, that's
Yeah,
just
that's the
sickening,
worst
dude.
part about that whole community is like people getting disowned
Yeah,
basically
like,
because of their personal preferences. You
yeah,
know,
I
it's just
just,
like I get it that there's a lot of people and rough people out there with like these, religious beliefs really sort of cloud people's judgment in this arena. And, it's like you need to really, these are the things where you need to really take a step back and really, evaluate the situations for yourself and not what a book is telling you.
yeah,
This is where you need to be a human, and you need to understand what's going on inside the other human
yeah,
and how it affects you as a human.
yeah,
And you don't really need a whole lot of outside influence there to help you do that.
yeah,
That's the point,
exactly.
you
Yeah,
know?
I
It's yeah. I
yeah,
mean, and the other thing I want to touch on is like my brother too is just like his character and his personality is so infectious that like irregardless of his sexuality, it's like he's the type of person that owns a room when he walks
yeah,
into it. He loves a microphone.
yeah,
Like if he doesn't have one, he doesn't fucking need one.
yeah,
It's like he will still own that room.
yeah,
And it's like he will get you going. If you look like you're having like a shitty day, like he will pick you out of the crowd for a reason and make everyone know your name because it's like he wants to get something out of you.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, oh, the dude is just endless amounts of energy and ideas. The wheels never stop spinning. That's why, like, growing up as a kid, like, my dad used to have to wrestle him to go to bed. It's like, oh, I just got to finish this for school, blah, blah, blah. And, like, my dad would walk downstairs, like, 3 in the morning. My brother would be like this at the computer, like, he's just passed out. Like, Joe, go to bed. Like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like,
yeah.
just never quits working,
That's awesome, man. That's just so cool. Yeah, so
Yeah.
So again with us, I think we've kind of expressed it that no matter your color, your sex, we don't give a
Yeah.
shit. As long as you're happy, we're happy.
Yeah, dude.
Well, it's just
It doesn't affect me,
yeah.
really.
And I think that's what the world as a whole needs to kind of step back and look at it that way. Like I've legitimately thought that. Like I've seen dudes making out in the corner of the street. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's not something you see every day, but is this gonna affect me catching the BART train home? No.
Yeah, because
Is
it's
this
no
gonna
different than
affect
if you just
my
happen to see a man or a woman doing the same
yeah?
thing.
It's like, is this gonna affect what I choose to eat for dinner tonight? No. Is it gonna affect my paycheck? No.
No.
Okay, carry on. Maybe get a room because it's kind of weird to be doing it in public like that. But more power to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect anybody. You know what it
No.
affects? It affects those two people, and you know how it's affecting them in a positive way.
It's the same type of people that like if something happened, let's say, and there's that one person like, I'm gonna call and I'm gonna tell this so and so that you did this, or I'm gonna complain that there's this thing in the middle of the street. I'm gonna call the city like that. They need to know this. It's like
Karen.
Yeah, it's like the same person that's just like walks by like gay people making out on the street, and it's like has to say something to them like, wow, you need to, that's not okay to do out in public or this or that. It's like just keep walking because first of all, it shouldn't affect you. And if it does, like the fact that it affects you enough to like you need to stop and voice your opinion and you really need to intervene and you need to take that much time and you invest that much time and energy out of your day to really say something, like you're the fucked up one.
Yeah.
It's like because you could just keep going and pretend you never saw it, or like, oh, that, like, even if you were somebody who really didn't like it, oh, I don't really like that, look the other way, just keep going and just like, but understand that it's part of the world. You don't have to like it, but you don't have to. I mean, just you don't have to do anything about every time you see something you don't like.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. And you nailed it where it's something wrong with them, and that's what it is. The people that say something like to situations like that are the people that are going through shit in their own lives that they're not happy with. And it's just like it's a natural instinct to put that on other people. You know, it's just like when you're happy, you want to spread that happiness, right? It's the same thing on the opposite end. When you're angry, you want to spread that anger. When you're upset, you want to spread that, you want to spread that. And it's challenging, and I get it because I've been there. I've been there where I've had a shitty day, and it's like, I'll come home and even my own wife will be like, "Hey, how's your day?" What are you doing? The house is a mess. Blah, blah. It ain't her fault. The house is a mess. It's everybody's fault, But it's like, it's just how like your brain's wired. But the difference that people need to realize is like, you got to figure out your shit. It ain't someone else's problem. Those two dudes making out in the corner, it ain't their problem. You got fucking laid off that day or something, or whatever your inner problem is. It's your problem. You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I have to tell one more quick story. It's a funny story about my brother. This will just kind of speak to how different we are in our own arena. So I want to say this is like the late 90s. I was like probably a teenager watching I was watching the Niner game with my dad one Sunday, and Jerry Rice was still on the Niners, right? And like, I'm in the living room, sitting on the couch with my dad. We're watching the Niner game. My brother's in the kitchen. He's like making himself some food or something like that. And my brother's a few years older than me. And my brother goes and sits down on the kitchen table. He starts eating a sandwich or whatever the hell he was making. And then all of a sudden, like, Jerry Rice like catches a touchdown pass. And me and my dad like jump up like, "Oh yeah, this is awesome!" My mom walks into the room. She goes like, "What the hell happened?" My brother goes, "Jerry Rice just scored a home run."
Oh, that's great, man.
We're like, "It's a touchdown, Joe. It's a touchdown. 6 points."
And I bet you Joe was just like, "Yeah, same thing."
He's like, "Isn't that what I said?"
Oh man, that guy, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's hilarious. But anyway, speaking of sports, let's jump in, dude.
Yeah, let's do it. We got some fun stuff. So
there's definitely been some developing stories along.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
lots of different story. Lots of different platforms.
Yeah, I guess a real good transition, which is now ruined because I've called it out, is I mean, let's talk Bubba Wallace, man.
Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on in NASCAR right now.
So we didn't touch on this when it was really cracking on our first two episodes, but to start it, I want to say, what a badass dude! Like, NASCAR is known for its, I'm gonna say it, redneck freaking Budweiser drinking, Confederate flag flying, yeehaw motherfuckers. Like that is
NASCAR. That certainly was the stigma and the stereotype when we were growing up.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
like 25 years ago for sure. It's definitely gained a lot more traction nationwide and a whole lot more fans. So the fan base has evolved, but I mean, I think in a lot of places that stereotype still rings true for most people.
Yes. And then we have Bubba Wallace comes around, African-American man, first. I don't think he was the first, but he's
I'm not sure if he's the first, but I think he's the only single one current.
Yeah, and I think he's also the most, like, he's the one that's cemented himself in that top tier. I gotta be honest. I'm not detailed in NASCAR. I respect the sport. I do watch it. I have some history. One of my other closest friend outside of you is huge in the NASCAR. So growing up, like, I'm aware of it. I understand what it is. I understand pitting and how the placement works and all that. But I'm still not like super into it. But basically, Bubba Wallace I think he's the one that's been most consistently like in the top tier NASCAR races. Like,
the bottom line is regardless of the fact that he's black and we're talking about him right now, it's he's in the conversation of the top 10 of who's the best of the best right now.
Yes.
Like it's the same thing as if you would say like, oh, who's in the top 10 of the NBA right now or the NFL? It's like you have a list of names, but it's like Bubba Wallace happens to be in that list of names for the NASCAR. Oh, and he just so happens to be the only black guy in there too.
Yes.
So it's like people want to talk about him, but like, oh, are we only talking about him because he's black? No, we're also talking about him because he's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, he is good.
Know?
Yes, he's good. I think this actually at Talladega where all the drama happened, he led majority of the laps. I don't know his placement, but he led majority of the laps for the race. So the dude is good. He's not like a freaking back of the line driver. So he's definitely gonna get
those drivers who win that race. You know what I mean? So like it's the real deal.
Yeah. So, but before we get into the whole noose debacle, the one thing I just want to touch on really quick is I think the banning of the Confederate flag was amazing.
Yes, great move.
Yeah, and I mean we've talked about this off camera, and we can touch on a little bit here. Like my stance with history. Our history is so important to everybody, especially our youth. It's important to know the history, but it's also important to understand the negativity of a lot of our history. And unfortunately, with America, a lot of the history is very negative, like we talked about the other night. We have a holiday and celebrate Christopher Columbus, who quite possibly could go toe to toe with Hitler on the fucking piece of shit list. Like Christopher Columbus was a terrible person. Mass genocide. He came here and ripped this, literally single-handedly almost ripped this country from Native Americans. And we celebrate this guy. We are taught in school that this guy came here and embraced Native Americans and created Thanksgiving, and they were warmly welcomed. No, he came here and literally murdered hundreds of thousands. I may be wrong on that number, but massive amounts of Native Americans, to the point where certain tribes,
the way they're telling you the story,
where certain tribes are legitimately extinct because of him, and we celebrate that. So it's like our history is very bloody as a country. The Confederate flag stands for a time in our history that was a terrible time.
Right.
But with that being said, and I am by no means in support of it, it is part of our history. And the only way you can grow as a culture and a nation is if you understand the history. This is something, in my personal opinion, it's something that shouldn't be flown around. You shouldn't be in support of it, but you should be knowledgeable on it. You should be aware of it and what it stood for. And the fact that it has been banned from NASCAR is a huge step forward, as long as we are not erasing the history of it. That's always, me, I'm somewhat of a history nerd. But I definitely think it was amazing that he led that. I think it's amazing that NASCAR followed through with it, knowing a large chunk of their fan base is from the South. It is from those rural areas that are
white South.
Yes, the rural white areas that are unfortunately, and not really to their fault, behind the times with equality. Some sections of the South are just they haven't changed. And
well, dude, I mean, before you go on from what you just said, like some things in the South haven't changed. Like, I mean, you rewind, 10, 15 minutes, what we just talked about where we're from and what we've been exposed to. And it's just like, we're all in the same country, but really where you live, it's a different place.
Oh yeah.
And the thing about where I'm going with that is like, we have evolved and we have changed out here in the Bay Area and on the West Coast at a rate much more, way accelerating beyond many of these other states, in between, and this is a perfect example of how you are conditioned to the environment of which you're exposed to and which you grow up in. And so a lot of those southern states, those ideals and those morals that existed so long ago, and at times where it's terrible to think, but treating people this way and segregating life and acting like this was acceptable, and a lot of that mentality just still has not changed. And I feel like it's because of the knowledge that gets passed on, and what people are conditioned to think and how things are supposed to exist, that they don't change, because it's always constantly sort of instilled. And that's where, in parallel with Black Lives Matter, in parallel with just progression in general, that things need to change.
Yes, exactly. And you bring up a good point in the reality of, like, as a whole, we are the United States, but every state really is so different, especially when you have states like
country.
Yeah, and especially when you have states, and I'm gonna throw out bullshit numbers, but just for example, like, you have states like California has millions of people, and then you have states like Idaho that I don't even think has 1 million people.
Well, I mean, look how small like Rhode Island is, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really small states, but at the same time, it's like Texas and California they're bigger than some countries.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like we also are responsible for like, California is, I don't know the exact number, but it has one of the world's biggest economies. Like, on a if you're categorizing and sort of quantifying, on a global scale, the largest economy is, like, just as a state, we're 1/50th of this country.
Yeah.
Not in size, but in name, but that's just the way it is. It's crazy if you want to slice, however you want to slice it. You can think about it so many different ways.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where it's like, so like, when the world thinks of the United States, they think of it as a whole, but the people that live in the United States and have traveled the United States, which I still have a ways to go. I haven't been on the East Coast whatsoever, but I've been pretty much almost every state now on the West Coast to middle of the country. It's my, like, so for example, and I know we're getting off topic of sports, we'll get back to it quickly here. I went to Wyoming for a wedding just this last year, and actually almost a year ago now. And me and my wife, we traveled around all the connecting states there, and mind blowing to me how different from California, or even where I'm at now, Oregon. Even though I'm, up until last year, I'm a Californian. I still am a Californian, but, like, just like me and my wife, two white ass people, walk into literally a hole in the wall diner in Idaho. I'm wearing Dickies and a white t-shirt and a Giants hat. She's wearing jeans and a white t-shirt, and the entire restaurant, solid white, literally stopped, turned, and looked at us like we couldn't have been in any more generic clothes. They just instantly knew we were not from there.
Yeah.
Like, just like, that's
you weren't wearing Wranglers, dude.
yeah. So it's like,
but even like the comment I just made was very stereotypical. You know?
But that's how it is with them. Like, in those.
Well, it is everywhere. Everywhere has their stereotypes. California has its stereotypes. Oregon does.
Yeah, and
Colorado does, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, so that's where, like, I'm okay with, like, I feel like stereotypes isn't a bad thing, because you're going to be different where you are. The mindset needs to be that you need to understand and accept that people are going to be different, and it's going to have a lot to do with where they're from. And a stereotype is okay as long as you're talking about it and thinking about it in a non-negative way, right? And I think that's where the biggest issue is it's not like, for me, I don't even think it's really like it has anything to do with skin color with the issues we're having, or sexual orientation. That is one that is the issue with a lot of people is the sexual orientation. But when it comes to race and stuff, I don't think the real problem is your skin color. It's the stereotype that's attached to it that people have issues with, and that's where you need to
Well, yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
accept that people are going to be different. We're not going to be anything like China. We're not going to be anything
Right.
like Japan or Russia. You know, those people that come from there are going to be completely different from us. They're going to be born and raised different from us. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just need to accept that there are things that we're going to do differently and we're going to enjoy differently, and that's okay. And that's where I think the big
Yeah.
bubble issue is
Well, but
people think that,
stereotypes.
oh, they do that differently than I do it, it's wrong.
Yeah.
When that's
I
not the
mean,
case. It's because they were raised in a different society and that's how they do whatever
they're
that is.
conditioned to like think a certain thing because that's the only way they've been exposed or associate that thing with the way that it's been told to them growing up or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, a perfect example. I mean, stereotypes is a very slippery slope that could get you
Yes.
into, some hot water, whether it's, leads into racial profiling or all the
Yes.
other things, right? But a classic example that I've experienced, and I'm sure you have at some point, I've been in other states, this one example's been in New York visiting my brother. And this is, I'm not even talking to gay people at this time when I'm saying this. Like, this could be like in the airport where it's just like, oh, where are you from? It's like, oh, I'm from Pacifica. It's, well, sorry, you don't know where that's from. I'm from San Francisco. I'm like, oh, are you gay?
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
oh no, man. There's a lot of non-gay people that live in San Francisco.
Yeah. That's
like,
yeah. No, I've hit that 100% because for me, like when people ask you that, I don't say Pacifica. I just say San Francisco because no one knows where Pacifica is. So I'm like, I'm from San Francisco.
Most, right off the bat, most of the time too.
And I've gotten that exact statement, or I've gotten the San Francisco.
Do you see a lot of gay people all the time?
Yeah, it's like, dude, first off, educate yourself. New York has more gay people than San Francisco. Like,
it says more people per capita.
Yeah, and I know that's why, but it's like
exactly, yeah.
Like, and it's funny, like even like in like gaming scenarios, like that's anyone asks me where I'm from San Francisco. That's the first, because the gaming community is like the shittiest community in the world, really.
Yeah,
it's instant. Oh, you must be gay.
Because they're they're keyboard warriors. They don't have to
because
go face to face to anybody. They can talk as much shit as they want.
Exactly. So that's the first thing, and I still to this day, someone asks me where you're from.
You do too,
California. Oh yeah, I do. But I do it in a fun way, where I like to say things that make people not know how to answer, and always has nothing to do with who you are as a person. Like this is one I've shared like a dozen times with my friends now. But I was playing Call of Duty the other night, and some guy was just talking mad shit out of nowhere. It was not his KD was trash. He was trash. And at the end of the match, he was just blabbing. And I literally just out of the top of my head, I just said, dude, you need to shut up, or I'm gonna break into your house, toast all your bread, and put it back in the bag. And just like the most random, I like to do shit like that, right? Where it's just like you say something that the other person is just like, what the fuck did he just say? But it instantly,
they just tell them an insult is something they've heard 10,000 times already.
Because all they're gonna say is, because this is what you get 99.9%. Oh, you suck. You suck. Oh, you're trash. Oh, you suck. You're trash. You suck. You're trash. Yeah. So it's like when you throw a curveball like that, and it did exactly what I knew it was gonna do. First off, the dude dead silent, didn't know what to say. The rest of the lobby just dying in laughter, because it's like, literally the last thing anyone ever expected to hear was something like that. And I always say something like that, something that's like completely stupid. But
start my gaming career. It sounds so much fun.
Well, you're gonna start with skate games, which is the chill community. The Call of Duty community is like the most.
Marijuana of skateboarding. It's like the marijuana of gaming. It's like the gateway to gaming.
Yeah,
chill skate games.
Yeah. Pretty much. No, the shooter community is terrible. Yeah, we got way off topic.
Let's get back on topic of NASCAR. I will say the one thing I like the most about this whole situation. I know that there's been some news that's come out about this supposed news and whatnot, but I will say that when the night that it did happen, that it did go down, where this was suspected to be a potential hate crime, I got to say that the way NASCAR handled it was flawless.
Oh yeah, man.
The way they responded, the way they got in front of it. I
I
forget the
love
individual's
that
name,
they
but the way he tuned in on Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt, like, was just, I mean, like, he came at it with the most passion and like he was ready to go in there, like, roll up his sleeves
Yeah.
and be like, let's look for this dude. Like, this is not okay.
Yes.
You know, and like, I feel like he really personified how NASCAR really felt about this situation, and they've held their ground about this investigation since that, you know, but obviously, you know, the story has evolved, you know. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna agree with you that the the fact that they took it personally was awesome.
Yeah.
And it's because they were vocal about it, especially the couple. I can't think of his name right now. He was the dude that was talking to Scott Van Pelt. That's like the lead ESPN
Right.
reporter. You know? Did you say his name?
No,
Oh.
I mean, that just shows you how big of NASCAR fans we are.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, but
if it was NBA, we would have said Adrian Wojnarowski. If it's NFL, we would have said Adam Schefter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, this is what it is.
But the dude is actually really cool, and it's getting me back into NASCAR a little bit. But like, you could see when he spoke, he didn't speak professionally. He didn't speak PC. He spoke from the heart. He swore a couple times that they had to bleep it out. Like, it wasn't your typical like, oh, this is ESPN now reporting, blah blah blah. This was a guy that was like, and he said it perfectly in the sense where he was just like, they are trying, the reporters are trying, NASCAR is trying to get as far away from that stereotype of, you know, yeehaw NASCAR. Yeah. They don't want to be recognized as that. They want to be a sport that accepts any and everyone. And their biggest fear from this whole noose thing was that they're going to fall back 10 years on what they've done and accomplished in bringing the sport to more ethnicities and just people as a whole. And it was cool to see, because the fact that not just the reporting side of it, but the leadership, or, you know, the brass side of NASCAR across the board, they weren't upset. They were pissed off. Now, of course, today or yesterday, whenever it was that it came out that looks like there was some miscommunication, and it wasn't a noose. It was a garage door pull that basically the end. There's a picture that's going around. We're pretty sure it's accurate, but
well, it's more of a misinterpretation.
Yeah, basically it's a garage door pull that at the end someone had just turned it into a loop, probably to make it easier to grab onto.
Yeah, I think their intent was to create a handle.
Yes, exactly.
You know, something nice to like pull on. I mean, and the noose, I mean, as negative as it is, it's a very effective knot. You know, and
it is.
You know,
it is.
Now, my only thing, and my experience managing facilities, is just that, like, okay, this is think about like a sports stadium or a venue, right? Like there's a staff that manages this place on a daily basis. There's a staff that cleans, maintains, does everything. Now, the simplest thing of the garage door, the mechanism in which this thing opens and closes. You don't think that we're gonna have a chain to roll this thing up with, or whatever? Yeah. Maybe the thing's automatic, or there's a handle, or this or that. Whatever the mechanism was, it's been in place longer than this.
Yes.
And so the thing is like, even if it were these rope / noose / handles of whatever kind, that you think that after all this Black Lives Matter stuff started several weeks ago with death of George Floyd and even anything that happened in the past with prior deaths, that nobody in NASCAR would have thought, or who manages the Talladega Motor Speedway would have thought, maybe we should rethink this, and maybe we should get a different, you know, chain or cord or whatever the hell we can put here to operate these doors just the way we need to, but no one's going to confuse this as something that it's not, because it kind of looks, sketchy.
Yeah, I agree with that to an extent, but at the same time, if the picture that you provided me is accurate, I mean, it's so small and minuscule that it could be something that you just don't think of in that. Like I after you showed me that picture, I was on my run, and I was thinking for a little bit, like, is there anything in my house that could possibly like look like something that has no intention of looking at? Like, you might not even see it at that, so it doesn't look like that. Where to someone else, it does look like that very much. And in the picture, even like it that you sent me, it does look very blatantly like a noose, but it's so disproportionate that it doesn't. It very much looks like a handle.
It seems like a very small diameter rope.
Yes.
And even the circle that makes up the noose at the bottom maybe is like 3 inches in diameter.
Yeah, and like, that's the thing.
Like there's been reports in many different places, I know for a fact around the Bay Area in California, of nooses being hung like in public places.
Yes.
And those have been legit nooses, like big ones. Like,
but those are also from the fucking little loser followers that see this and they're trying to egg it on.
No, but my point being is that, like, if this were something like that, the noose would have been way more obvious.
Yeah.
Way more like
exactly.
Like it would have been gargantuan in size, to where it would have been strategically placed more obviously. Like the thickness would have been greater. Like so many things would have been different about it.
Yeah.
And
I think the big takeaway from this is, besides, I mean, I hate to laugh, but it is kind of funny because it's ignorant. The people comparing Bubba Wallace to the I don't even know how to say his name, Jose Smollett or whatever, the African American guy that faked the racial attack. It's humorous because it's so ignorant. Because if you read any bit of information, you would know that Bubba Wallace had nothing to do with this. He wasn't there. He wasn't the one that found it. He had literally nothing to do with it. So it's funny, but because it's so stupid. And that whole scenario is actually really funny because he got caught. It's pretty embarrassing, but it's what it did. Like the walk, right? The walk showing the unified front of all the drivers pushing his car down pit row with all the crews behind them. Like, what a powerful statement to show how serious NASCAR is. And I strongly disagree that this was a setup. People are saying, because people are so stupid.
Yeah, I don't think it was a setup.
If it was a setup, they would have made it look more like a noose.
No, I think the reality of the fact of the matter is like the Black Lives Matter movement has brought so much awareness to this that whoever inside his garage or is on his team who looked at that, like, they may not have looked at that same way if
a month ago,
or 6 months ago or whatever it was, And where I'm going with that is like they were even like, oh, like, because Bubba didn't see it, like, oh, maybe we shouldn't tell him, like we don't want to affect him in the race, like maybe we'll tell him after the race, or I'm sure I'll find out after the race after we say something, but like it was part of that. But going back to what you said about the unity thing, man, it's like Bubba made a comment in his statement about like even though like this is come to find out that it wasn't this, he's like, I don't want this to take away from our moment of unity that we had, which, I mean, that was so strong even in its own right. And it's like, even it kind of makes you think that like we've all been going through a lot anyway, that NASCAR would still probably have done something like this. And it's good that they did something like this anyway, because they need to show that NASCAR is interracial as well. Like, bring it on, Like,
and I want to
stop here with Bubba Wallace either,
Yeah, exactly. And I want to also point out that so I have two last kind of comments on this. First off, to continue with the outcome, I think it was very huge of NASCAR and how they handled the outcome of the findings and everything, and not trying to dust it under the rug, because it is a little awkward and embarrassing when the outcome is nothing what it was originally thought to be. In the picture, when you look at it, I mean, any normal minded person looks at that and is kind of like, my reaction was, I see it, but I kind of really don't see it. Like, it very much looks like someone, like you just said, sought in a different vision than they would have in the past, and maybe it was someone new, or
Yeah.
they jumped the gun a little bit. And with that saying, I also think that NASCAR is trying to get ahead of everything. They're taking this opportunity to change, to show they're changing, but they're doing it in a positive way. They're doing it in the right way. But I do think that they probably could have pumped the brakes a little bit, gone through the investigation, found some more intel before they mentioned any of this. Probably would have saved a lot of the back and forth drama, and the outcome. It could have very much came out with a, hey world, just to inform you, this was brought to
Right.
our attention after investigation. We found out it wasn't this. However, we want to still show
won't
we are a
tolerate this
united
kind of
front. We're
thing.
not,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
instead, it came out as, oh, noose, hate crime. Oh, actually, it's just a fucking handle. So, and it doesn't look bad, but I do think that they probably, like I said, let's just gather all the intel. They kind of jumped the gun on announcing to the world what's going on.
So after all that, look, think about one more thing.
Yeah.
Look at this. So you saw the picture I sent you.
Yes.
Okay. If that is the rope that everyone's talking about, okay, and you're the one who sees that, okay, first of all, that rope is very close to a garage door.
Yeah.
And second of all, wouldn't you look at that rope and see where it's coming from?
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, it's coming from a garage door, guys. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. And,
like,
and here's the thing is, like,
an element of common sense. And the other thing, the last thing is, the picture that I showed you, that the garage door is open. Somebody would have had to pull that fucking thing to make that goddamn thing open.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the guy who's pulling it to open never once thought it was a noose, but just somebody in the back of the room's like, that thing's a noose.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, it just ties into everything. Where, like, everyone's different, man. Everyone sees things differently. Everyone thinks of things differently. And I think that right now, so many things, the world is so tense and so, focused on this, which it needs to be. I'm not taking away from that. The world needs to focus on Black Lives Matter right now, because it is important. Yeah. But at the same time, we need to be able to open our eyes and kind of look around a little bit, and not get tunnel vision on this little tiny loop right here at the end of the rope. Just like you said, look up, look around. Yeah. But there's also, we can look at this and to talk on that, we can look at this in so many ways. They're saying it's been there as far back as last year. Who's to say that the guy that tied that isn't thinking in their mind, oh, look, I made a handle. It kind of looks like a noose too. It very well, like, it's still not out of the picture, but just as like the country is looking at a lot of things, and a lot of statues are coming down and things like that, it's like, well, now we have to look at a lot of different things differently, and maybe we need to do things or position things differently, or create the illustration differently, because maybe the way we did things in the past, case in point, is something that resembles such a negative thing that's going to trigger society. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. My biggest thing with all of this, backtracking to my history nerdness, is the statue. And you mentioned the statues coming down and stuff, which they need to. They really need to. We would nothing, no hate or racial or slavery owning people or promoting people should be celebrated, but people need to be educated on them. Like, and that's where, like, you want change. Everyone wants this change. Everyone, change.
Right.
The only way we can change is if we're educated, right? It comes to
Yeah.
that. And where does that start? It starts in school. It starts at a young age. You want change in the future? You need to be truthful in history. Let's remove the statues. Let's remove the plaques. Let's remove the names from stadiums that are named after people that were racist and things like that. Don't remove them or hide them from the history books.
No,
Educate the youth on that.
Need to be talked about. Even the negative experiences, the negative, examples in society per se, need to be highlighted, because those are examples that sparked change. Those are examples that created an outcome per se. Like, something came of this. Like, let's like, we need to know what caused this. Like, there's a cause and effect. Well, where was it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and it just, like, it's so important. And like we talked offline, and I want to bring it up real quick. Everything that's going on in the world with hate and Black Lives Matter, like, this is like, for change to happen, this needs to be a legitimate class that is like a requirement in, maybe the very end of elementary school, beginning of high school, so you have some of that maturity, but like it needs to be not like a subject in American history. It needs to be like, look, here's a quarter, 3 months. We're going to talk about our Black history and how shitty it was.
Well, I know you moved to Oregon, so you might not have heard this, but the California State University system has, I believe the bill already passed the assembly. Sorry. It's the state of California has passed a bill to make, I think it's like a cultural studies sort of course, like 3 units, whatever it is. I'm probably botching the name of it. But basically they passed it, and now it's up to the state university school, like the CSUs, California State University, this, like, blah, 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 not like the UCs, to implement that. But it'll probably be like a year and a half before they actually have to make that like part of your graduation requirements. But I know the college system is doing that, which is great. But yes, I definitely think it needs to start far sooner than that, because if you're going to try to mold someone's mind at 19, 20, 21, yes, it can still be molded, but it can be molded a lot better.
Yes.
And a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to be interpreted like we manipulate our youth, but in a way where it's just like, if you want to get somebody thinking about a certain thing in a certain way or a certain perspective, that's where you really need to start at a much younger age than college.
Yeah. That's fantastic. No, I did not know about that, and that's fantastic, because it's important. But it needs to be younger, and I agree with you. Like, and I'm sure the audience that follows us is aware of that. Like, we're not saying that in a, you need to think this way, but you need to provide the facts and the truth, and then let the person that's learning that decide what they think. And if you put it out that way, it doesn't change who we are. It strengthens who we are. If I was taught in high school Christopher Columbus was a piece of shit, I would have been more interested than, oh, let's go have a turkey dinner and woohoo, like, learning that in my late 20s was like such a mind fuck for me, because it's like, it made me like go back and be like, fuck, dude, what else in high school, in elementary school, did I learn that was bullshit?
Or you're just like, oh, he gave us like 8, but he gave me like 12 like free days off of school, so he's not that bad of a guy.
Yeah, it's like, and I've been, and I know I need to stop, but I hate to admit it, I'm so anti Christopher Columbus from all the research I've done.
You're on a Christopher Columbus soapbox lately.
I know, dude. I know, and
no,
dude,
see, not He did not find America.
It pisses me off, dude. It pisses me off because it's like what did I go for school for during that time? Like, I feel like my life could have been.
Christopher Columbus finding America is like Donald Trump saying he's the first president of the United States.
Exactly, dude. Nailed it. Nailed it. Yeah, like, come on, man. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know. It makes me so. I'm sure it's showing on my face. It makes me angry, dude. It literally makes me angry, and that's my biggest fear with everything that's going on now. Like, it needs to be in the history of what's going on right now and why. And you know, I have this deep down fear that 30 years from now, our children are going to be taught, oh, there was this uprise over this person being murdered because he was a piece of crap, and you know, cops are great. And it's like, let's tell it how it is. Tell it how it is. This one cop was a piece of shit and he fucked up royally, and he killed a dude that wasn't the greatest person in the world, but was trying to do right. And the reason he was killed is because the cop had the power to do it. Like, tell it how it is. And that's my biggest fear, is just, and it just like, it's, I don't know, learning about the truth of Christopher Columbus. And not just that, I focus a lot on Christopher Columbus, but there's a lot more. Hiroshima, Civil War stuff. It's like what we're taught on it's bullshit, man. It really is. And it's like, it makes me feel like I'm so anti-America, which I'm not. Like,
everybody hears how much China controls the news because they want to control what their people hear. Well, it's like, what makes you think that they're not doing that to us? You know what I mean?
Well, we do that. We do the same thing, dude. You turn on like the primetime Fox News and then the primetime CNN news. Dude, you're getting two completely opposite things. Like, it's fucking mind-blowing sometimes that it can be the same topic, polar opposite information. It's like, that's so dangerous. And I'm not even gonna go into my crazy freaking anti-news mindset right now, but like, it's just dangerous, dude. And people as a whole are so dumb and ignorant. They just gobble this information up, and it's like, we need to. That's where the change needs to start. The foundation needs to be the truth of our history, our now, and what we want the future to be like.
Yeah, and even if it's ugly, like, the ugly truth is still the truth.
Yeah,
and we can all learn from it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be super pretty, or it happened because of this.
Yeah.
Like, no, if it's not because of that, it's okay.
Yeah.
We all need to know the truth.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, and that's like, dude, you want change. Everyone wants change. I mean, yeah, we have the group of people that love life how it is, but they're the problem people. But the mass want change. It starts at the core. The core is, we were raised and educated on a bunch of bullshit. We were raised and educated that, you know, we're this, and I have to say this. I'm not anti-America. I love this country in so many ways, but we were not this shining, glowing, like a beautiful, amazing thing that came from freaking Christopher Columbus landed, and, you know, he loves everyone and everyone accepted us, and, oh, here's this new land. We can, you know, be our own people. It's like, no, that's all fucking bullshit, dude.
Dude, we're getting hashtag Christopher Columbus.
I know. I just ruined this whole podcast of my freaking Christopher Columbus rant, but it's true. It's like, dude, like, you need to educate and teach on the truth. But if you're
questioning that, like, what more do you start to question?
Oh, I could sit here for hours and talk about the Civil War, World War I, like even freaking Afghanistan and all that craziness. And we shouldn't even. I'm not even gonna go there. But like, it's not just Christopher Columbus. It's just that's the start. You know, that was the start of our country, and we're trained and taught on a lie about it. And every other major event after that, and through schooling, you're taught our side. You're not taught the other side. And you know what? I hate to break it to the world, or the, you know, X amount of viewers we have. We are not the good guys 90% of the time. We're the good guys to us because we're us. But that's how it is with everything, right? But we are the villain in many ways. And That's okay. It's okay as long as we are educated on it. I don't know. I gotta stop. I ranted way too long.
It's okay. It's okay. Marty, hop in the DeLorean. Let me take you back to the future.
Thank you.
We are gonna, let's shift gears to Major League Baseball. Newest proposal: 60-game, imposed a 60-game season.
Yes.
I don't really care about if the players want to play, if they don't want to play, or who's going to play, or what the money is, or how big the game is. I want to talk about the rule changes. I want to talk about what's different about baseball going to be in this season. Because the bottom line is we're going to have a season. We're going to have players playing baseball. I don't really give a shit how much they get paid or what the details are. We're going to have players playing baseball. We're going to have people watching baseball. And that's going to be good for all things sports, right?
Yes.
So the two biggest changes to note in baseball, and they've tried these at the minor league level, of course, in years past, and it was only a matter of time before they made their debut at the major league level. And now I definitely don't think that they were going to be maybe implemented this soon, but I think that because you have this sort of one-off year where things are just so different, what better time to actually try it amongst the actual pros and get their feedback on it, and then really evaluate it to see, like, even the fan perspective, is this something we should keep? Is this something we shouldn't keep, and whatnot? I mean, and they're not major or drastic changes, but they are changes, and the one biggest change is the DH. Now the DH is going to be implemented for the entire season, no matter if you're American League or National League. Now, I honestly feel like that's because it's like the format of the league is going to be very different. It's almost going to feel like an Eastern Conference and a Western Conference, and the league is going to play in those 50% silos, and it's almost going to be like all the Western Conference teams, even if you're a National League or American League, are going to cycle amongst each other, and vice versa on the Eastern end, right? And so you're having basically interleague play year-round anyway, so it makes sense to have the DH, just alive, because baseball is just so different right now, and with that many American League teams playing National League teams, it's just the way it is. Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, the other rule...
is that just for this season?
Right now, yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of people that have been pushing for this to be a thing permanently in Major League Baseball, even before COVID-19 hit and all these changes.
Yeah, I know that.
So there's been a movement of people wanting to see this in baseball, and there's purists that don't want to see it. And so
I'm a purist.
It's never really made. I love the fact that it's not in the National League. Like, I'm a purist on the National League thing.
I almost wish it was the opposite way, and the American League pitchers had to hit. I get it either way.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I'm a purist,
Instead
but I'm not like
imposing the DH on the National League, take it away in the American League. Because it's the biggest strategy in baseball.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it with the with the National League, is like it's very strategic.
Yeah.
And you do have those select pitchers that the dudes can hit. Madison Bumgarner. The bros hit more is like a freaking mini Babe Ruth when it comes to batting. Like I just love the strategic and the technical aspect of it. But I also get it. Like I can see both sides. Like, I am a purist, but I'm not like a hardcore, like, I'm never gonna watch baseball again because of it. Like, I get it. There's the injury aspect. There's the majority of the pitchers, they go up there and they look like a complete idiot swinging the bat. It's a waste of time. But
that's because they don't practice it. That's not because they can't hit. Because all these guys can hit when they're coming up. You know what I mean? Yeah. The best pitchers in high school and college can fucking rake. Yeah. It's because they stop practicing hitting. They stop doing it because they tell them that they don't need to do it.
Yeah.
And it's bullshit. But my other thing is I'm with you. I think that the DH should be yanked from baseball altogether, because I mean, you just think about the strategy of the game from the sixth inning on, when you've got to make that decision on when to pull a pitcher or which pitcher to use in this situation based on who's coming up to bat in the lineup next, or who for your team is coming up. Then you got the double switch, you got all that kind of stuff. Yeah. The American League, it's just basically like, oh, we got this pitcher just like dangling out there on the mound, and we could just free substitution anytime we want. Yeah. It doesn't affect affect anything. I
Yeah.
mean, that's literally what it is, like free substitution. And it's just like
Yeah.
baseball, when it was originally created, was 9 up, 9 down, and the same guys in the field are the same guys that played.
Yeah.
And when it was originally created, the same guy who pitched probably pitched the next day. I mean, that's just the
Yeah.
way like the
Yeah.
games have evolved.
Yeah.
Now, you know, we've got a lot of pitchers, a lot of horses in the stable. That's great.
Yeah.
But the strategy that it takes to manage a baseball game and the situation, that is part of the chess match that makes it so awesome to watch, and especially when it works out in your favor, you know?
I have nothing to add. You got me.
So,
You got me, bro. It's just
so
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
and that's like the technical side of baseball is what makes baseball is what makes it interesting to I mean, but see that's where I fall back is because if you're someone that's getting into baseball at a later time in life, it's hard because it is very strategic, and I understand that it can be boring for you, but if you understand the sport, that's strategic. Like to me, the
yeah.
pitching duel games are the most interesting games to me.
Oh,
They
yeah.
are the most exciting games to me. The games where they're hitting, you come out and it's freaking 8-19. Those are fun, but the games that come out 1-0 and the pitchers just balled out, those are the ones that are fun for me. Like those are my favorite because they're so technical and they're and you know like no hitters or perfect games are like, and you see like that's baseball at its core, man. And the DH takes away from that.
Yeah, and I fear with this new format that okay, we're going to be 100% DH across the board, and now the conversations go, oh, how did you like that? And did you guys like the DH, or but didn't it speed up this, or didn't it do that, or how about
Yeah,
that? And
it's
like,
gonna favor the
it's like
DH.
but it doesn't even matter if it favors it. It's like once you introduce it, it's like you're conditioning people to accept it.
Yep.
And then the minute that you implement it, like permanently for years to come, it's like, well, you know, it's not a shock anymore. So we shouldn't have to get as much backlash as we did before. So like, I get why they're doing it now, and you know, it is what it is. But I still hope that, you know, there's enough people out there still within the baseball community who have enough pull that can, you know, at least bring it to a vote. You know, let us vote on it. Make sure that, you know, if it has a chance, it has a chance to stand. You know,
my gut tells me that this is like you said, it's one of those things where it's the tipping point, and they end up going that route. And let me ask you this, 'cause I haven't researched it, and I'm embarrassed to admit because I am a very big baseball fan. I've been out of the loop this year because of babies and work and stuff. But I know that they were talking about spring training having a computer system call balls and strikes. Did they actually go through with that, or did COVID put a hold on that? Because that I'm asking because that is one thing that would turn me off of baseball.
So I didn't hear that they were doing that in spring training, but I know that they have tested that in the minor leagues before.
Okay.
A couple times in some controlled environments. We can talk about that for sure. And there's pros and cons to that, from the mechanical side to the human element side, but I don't think that's part of this. Definitely not. And I didn't hear that was going to be part of this spring training, but I could be wrong. But the other rule change that I will highlight that is happening as part of this this abbreviated season is extra innings will begin with a man on second base. All extra innings, not just playoffs.
What?
Entire season.
Oh my God, man. That's
so
why?
this is
Like,
another
why?
one that they've tested. This is another one that they've tested in the minor leagues. I know last year, maybe even an additional one more year prior. And the data that they've collected over that testing has said to, I think it's something over 75% of the games have ended with just one additional inning needed to be played. So it's a thing about speeding the game. It's a thing about, you know, because there's been so much freaking talk about this speeding the game, which like if you like the sport, like why are you concerned about what time it's going on?
I mean,
You know?
is the MLB struggling that much with like income or fan excitement? Like that's a huge change, man.
I mean, it's
Like,
a huge change for one really big reason, and here's a big reason to think about. It will change how you construct your roster.
yeah.
And what I mean by that is I read an article today. I mean, as a Giants fan, I read an article. Like, do you remember way back before spring training when we signed Billy Hamilton to a minor league deal?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it looks like Billy Hamilton's going to make the roster because if we get into an extra inning situation, Billy Hamilton's the dude we want on second base.
Yeah.
So how
Exactly.
many other teams are thinking this same way? Whereas maybe this guy might not have made the roster or definitely not on opening day,
Yep.
but he's being considered because he's the fastest horse in the stable.
Yep.
And now that's part of your arsenal. You got to have a guy.
Yeah, and I'm
You gotta
sure
have a
I'm
guy.
sure there are and this is probably very rare, but I'm sure it's something that's talked about in the scenarios where you have those players that are position players but have a history of pitching. Perfect example,
Yeah.
Pablo Sandoval.
Well, yeah.
You go a 19 inning game, 18, 19 inning game, you've run out of everything. Well, this dude, yeah, he's our third baseman, but the dude could throw some pitches. He can probably get us out of this inning.
Yeah.
That even though it's minor and it's not going to be the deciding factor on if you sign or don't sign someone, it's still a thought that changes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I like that, man. Like I mean I've sat and watched a 17 inning game before. And it does get a little old, but at the same time when it ends, if your team wins, man, it's the best feeling ever, dude.
Sometimes it's like those are some games that are just like that was a fucking game. It just took that long, you know, and it's like both teams weren't gonna concede to the other, and it just happened to be that way. Now, I know that those games can be long because you can get through the 11th, 12th, and 13th, maybe even the 14th inning, and you in those 4 innings in a row had 0 men on base. Now I can understand that.
Yeah.
But you know, and then this is gonna have just the excitement, you know, with the asshole clinching and nail biting around the edge of your seat, like right at the beginning of the start of the 10th inning, which is cool. But you know, it's like I feel like the home team's gonna have a disadvantage because that the away team's gonna have the first crack at that.
Yeah.
And what if they score? Now you're immediately down again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you'd much rather be tied and hit a walk-off go-ahead than have to come up in the bottom of the 10th down 1.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You'd rather have stopped them not scoring anything at all and do it. Now you still can.
Yeah.
But their probability of getting a guy 180 feet around to home plate is much more likely.
Yeah, it's a base hit.
Yeah, they're a base hit away,
But
or
I think that's what bothers me.
Or a bunt, a sack bunt, and a sack fly away from getting them in.
Yeah, I think that's what bothers me is there's no it takes away the strategy. It's I don't want to say luck, but it's like it literally takes that one swing instead of that one good swing followed by the follow-up swing that gets them in. You know, I don't know. I mean, I do get it, but I don't like it.
I think they should have started him at first base, to be honest.
I would have been more on board with that.
You want to put a guy on base,
puts
put him
him in
up
scoring
first.
position. It just makes it so I don't like it.
Because a lot of teams will automatically give up an out to get him in scoring position. So it's like, fine, put him on first base. If you want to bunt him over, at least then now you got him at second base with 2 outs.
Yeah.
Because if you start him at second base, and then you can still bunt him over to third, and now you're at 1 out.
Then you could bunt him in.
Yeah,
you could
or
you
could just get a sack fly right after that, and they come in.
Yeah,
you know.
I don't like. I hate in all sports. I hate the big changes like that. Like it, because then that affects history books and stuff. And I'm back to my nerdy historyness. But it's like, how do you that changes everything? It changes everything. Like you can't compare today's game with, the past. You can't compare the players.
Yeah.
It just takes away so much.
I know.
The little changes that happen here and there for safety reasons or whatever, like, yeah, of course, but like to do this just to speed up the game, like, dude, the pioneers of baseball freaking broke their bodies down to make the sport what it is today, and now you're freaking babysitting them.
I know.
Like, you're feeding them bottles.
It's all because they're catering to what's happening on TV. It's like, oh, we need to speed up the game for TV. We cared 50 years ago.
Yeah, this is the old man in me, but it just comes back. It circles around to technology, and now, like, you know, you can't the mass they lose interest in something so quickly.
Yeah,
and so it's like because you got your 5-minute entertaining YouTube videos and this and that, and just I'm getting old, man.
So
I'm an old grump.
All right, let's shift gears once again. So COVID-19 has incredibly fucked up 2020.
Yeah.
And for me, one of the most disappointing ways that COVID-19 has fucked up 2020 was the Summer Olympics, man. I mean, I'm so down and I'm so into the Olympics, both winter, both summer. Like, I love it. I love the tradition, the history. Going back to your history.
I'm sorry, man. I butchered this whole show.
I love the tradition. I just love giving you shit. I love the tradition of the Olympics. I love the prestige that it has because it only comes every 4 years. I love all of that. I mean, it's like I don't typically watch swimming very often, but like I will tune in every 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just interesting, and the Olympics brings some very, very unique sporting events, to the public eye that aren't highlighted very often, which I think are very cool, and it gives the common athlete, I feel like, motivation to continue to play a wide variety of sports and realize that, I could do, maybe I'm not going to be a football, basketball, or baseball player of these mainstream, like, professional leagues, but there are so many different avenues that you could be a professional athlete and do something cool in.
Yeah.
And I think that it gives so many different people from so many different countries a platform,
Yeah, and it also gives it's so much more valuable and special because it's not a yearly thing like the Super Bowl or World Series. It comes around once every 4 years for that
Steak
season or whatever. So, like, the Winter Olympics every 4 years. We have Olympics every 2 years, but for those specific sports, it's every 4 years.
Right.
So it just makes it so much more valuable because you can only do it so many times competitively, especially more so towards the summer with the gymnastics and stuff. So, like, you really only got 2 if you're lucky, maybe 3 in you before you're replaced by the new young guns. So it just makes it, and I agree with you. I love the Olympics. My family, they are, even my kids, dude, they're all about the Olympics. Like, it's very special.
It's just like a great, like, month or 3 weeks, whatever it is. It's just like you're tuning in every day. There's always something to watch every night. Like, you want to check it out. Like,
at all times too.
Yeah,
usually because it's on the other side of the world or something.
Well, and it's like, it's like, USA, USA. And at a time where we really need people to, like, be united by something, it's like, it would give, it's like we all root for different sports teams throughout the country because our league is spread out that way or across our nation.
Yeah.
But, like, the Olympics is our country against the rest of the world, and it's something that unites us. And at a time where we really could use something like that, it would have been really cool to, like, have something to cheer for. And like, we could have brought this Black Lives Matter movement with us and really, really put it on that stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But hopefully, we can continue to do that next year. But I mean, going back, I'm much more disappointed about the Olympics this year, not just because I'm missing the Olympics, but this was going to be the inaugural year for skateboarding, man.
Yeah, I know. Big deal for you.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the prestige of every 4 years, I mean, I love action sports and I love the X Games and whatnot, but over the years, I kind of feel like, I don't tune in as much to the X Games as much as I have in the past because it's become a little bit more diluted because they do it every year. And then they've started to do an X Games tour now where it's like, oh, we're in this country this month, and then 3 months later we're in a different country. So it's like they make 4 stops on this tour of X Games every year where it's like it started in San Francisco and it was just like, this is X Games, one big party a year. That's it. And then the Winter X Games started where I was like, okay, we could do the winter too. I get it. It's like summer Olympics, Winter Olympics. That's cool. But now we're doing like, oh, summer X Games here, summer X Games. Okay, so who won the gold medal on this?
Yeah,
but he won it here, but he won it here. So it's like, so who's the champion?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember back in the day, man, when the X Games first started showing up, it was a big deal. It would consume all the sports networks, the local news networks would talk on it a little bit. It was a big deal, but yeah, definitely. I've lost interest over the last years with it being. It's like I believe you would know this, but isn't it like called like the X Tour or something now or something? They have some kind of X Games tour thing too. Okay, yeah, but it's where it's multiple locations and it really has diluted it to the point where it's not as special as it once was.
Yeah, I mean San Francisco.
And that's where
I remember going to my first one when I was like 14, man, and then we went out to like Treasure Island and they had like the wakeboard competition out there on Treasure Island. It was awesome.
I remember, man, San Francisco would be so alive during X Games, man. Just good times, dude. Good vibes and everything too. Like you had your troublemakers, which we had
like 2 vert ramps out there on like one of the piers, and like there wasn't a whole lot,
Yeah, but it brought the crowd, man. It brought the crowds big time. It was fun. Yeah, that's a bummer because that's a big step. It's a well-deserved step. Again, something we've talked a little bit offline, but like snowboarding's been in the Olympics for years, and skateboarding is what snowboarding came from.
Exactly.
So it's overdue, if anything. No, it's unfortunate. I mean, it's gonna happen. It's just gonna be 2021. But it still stings, especially for some. I can see how it stings for someone like you that is where gaming is my passion, skateboard is your passion, and this is a monumental step in skateboarding. That's you kind of get that feeling, I'm sure, of it just being like kind of ripped away from you temporarily, but still it sucks.
I mean, there's one more thing to think about here. It's that like, so there's an Olympic team, but then you still have to qualify for the Olympic event, and they hadn't gone through all the qualifying events yet. So Team USA Skateboarding has its team, but that still is dependent upon does everyone on their team meet or sort of fulfill the qualifications. You know what I mean? Like whenever you go into an Olympic sport, there's always like for a track athlete, there's world championships going up to it. There's Olympic qualifiers. That means like now you're an Olympic athlete.
Yeah.
Like just because it's not like the World Cup or some of these other things where we just decide to enter a team into the tournament.
Yeah.
Like no, it doesn't work that way. Like you enter your team into the tournament that pre-qualifies you for the Olympics.
Yeah.
And so what that means is that because a lot of those events still haven't taken place, we're doing this over another year, that even our team can change.
Yeah, and that's huge. And not just with skateboard, but across the board. And then you have to take into account here's another year where injuries can happen and pull people. And it's definitely
and people should know that something about skaters too. It's like you might be a track athlete or you might be a swimming athlete, and the way you train is very healthy for your body. It's very good. It's very you're not risking injury when you're training. Skateboarders like I follow these guys to name some of these guys on the team like one of my favorites, Nigel Houston, is just like a killer skateboarder. You might have remembered him from way back in the day with the long dreads and stuff. Like he's been a pro since he was like 10 years old. He's like, I mean, you'd think he's like 40 now because he's been around so long, but he's only like 26.
Yeah.
you know, and he's got like the most like medals of all X Games
Yeah.
or whatever. But anyway, it's like these are guys that are out in the streets every day trying to find the
Yeah.
biggest handrail and staircase that they can. They're still putting their body on the line, like even like they're doing it now, even thinking that there was a 2020 Olympics. So it's like
Yep.
they're just gonna keep doing it for another year.
Yeah,
You know?
and to touch on that, it's very rare in extreme sports as a whole, not just directed right at skateboarding, that you get that first time big trick landed in a competition. Like these are things that they are practicing nonstop. The 900 was a very unique thing where, you know, Tony Hawk had tried it and I don't think he landed it beforehand. Maybe he did, but and then we saw the multiple attempts in that X Games when he finally did land it. That was a one-off, where a majority of the time these guys are trying to get these tricks dialed in before they do it in a competition.
Yeah.
And that's like, so it's like all offline, all off camera. They're just beating the hell out of themselves trying to get this trick
Tony
down.
did that, it was like social media didn't even exist.
Yeah.
So it's like you couldn't even see it beforehand. And
Yeah.
and you know, going back to that, like that was for the crowd. Like he had already tried to do it in competition and didn't work out. And it was like after competition had concluded, they just kept the tapes rolling and he just kept hammering it and hammering it and hammering it until he got it. And
Yeah, it was like 10 attempts or something.
That was just the coolest part, is because it like it wasn't even about the competition at that point. It was just about like, oh my God, like, we're gonna see something amazing right now, and like Tony is pushing the envelope, and we are here to witness this. And they were broadcasting it live on TV, which was amazing. You know,
that's
it was
so
just
cool.
like
Pastrana with the double backflip.
Yeah.
Or who landed the first backflip? Son of a bitch. Oh, I can't think of his name.
Deegan?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
What like those moments? Yeah, those moments are what.
Yeah.
Awakens.
Those are the foundation of the sport, because then more and more tricks were built off of that. Like so I'm glad you mentioned the 900, because there's this kid, Tom Shar, who is going for, he's on the format for the Olympics is much different, not much different, but so in the X Games you have street, park, vert, and big air, and all these other different elements of skateboarding. Well, in the Olympics, I'm hoping it's just because it's the inaugural time that there's only street and park. There's no like mega ramp, there's no big air, there's none of that stuff. It's just street and park. There's no vert ramp, you know, back and forth. It's just big air. So this dude Tom Shar, dude, he did a 1080, I think, when he was like 12 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he won. He's the youngest person to win a gold in X Games at 12 years old. You know, and so it's like and he's just to give you perspective, he's 20 now going to the Olympics. So it's like, I mean, you're in for a show, and you're in for some of the most entertaining content you can watch. You know?
Whoa, that's awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be cool to see skateboarding in the Olympics, dude. I'm pumped for it, and I haven't been really involved with skateboarding or extreme sports for a few years, but it's gonna be so dope, man. And it's a bummer that it's pushed off, but it's still exciting knowing that it's coming.
Yeah.
And
hopefully they expand on it, like, you know, the second time it's in there, maybe it's more than just Park and Street. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a couple other events.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Yeah. So we kind of went all over the place this show, but I take blame for that. But I think it still was a good content. But we are definitely at that 2 hour mark. We had some other things we wanted to talk about, but we can always save them for next week.
Dude, that's cool.
We can the anticipation for our viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
What were they going to talk about? Yeah.
What do they have up their sleeves?
No. Is Anthony going to rage on some other historical person?
Was he going to talk about his cool black shirt or what?
Oh, gosh. And I realized as we went live, or as we hit the record button, that I've been pretty goth the last couple weeks, so maybe I'll switch it up. I didn't realize that last week I wore a black sweatshirt and a black hat, and then here I'm wearing a black shirt and a black hat. So I'm gonna have to mix it up. I don't have the fashion sense like you, man. I don't have the freaking baller vintage hats. I gotta step my game up, man. Damn it.
Man. Hey,
that's all right. That's what we bring to the table. I bring the rage. You bring the style. That's what makes us blend so well.
Yeah, we all can't be the same. It's fine.
Yeah. All right, man. What do you got? You wanna send us off?
Sure, man. Thanks for joining us. We had a great time. Again, episode 3. I feel like we're starting to hit our stride.
Yeah, definitely.
We're really diving deep. These podcasts are flying by. Like you said, we didn't even get to some things on our list. So come join us again, man. We've got more for you. Let's do it.
Yep. And wherever you're listening or watching, thank you. Again, YouTube. It's always awkward to me to say because I see it in every single YouTube video. Hit the like and subscribe button. I'm just not that kind of guy, but it does help. Yeah. It does help, and it helps us see where we're going. And drop some comments. Let us know. Are you liking what we're doing? Are you not liking recommendations? We want to interact. So
you want us to talk about let us know.
Yeah. What anything you want us to talk about? We want to interact with anyone that's interested in our shenanigans. So and if you're not watching and you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, Google, thank you. And again, same time next week.
Yeah, and you can always follow the Growed Up Show either on Instagram or Twitter as well at the Growed Up Show.
Yes, and we're gonna start getting more and more active on those. We just want to be involved in the conversation. We want you guys involved in the conversation. So
let's do it.
On that note, we are out. Thank you, and see you next week.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers.